for the first time?
I don't know how. Jeez, I'm all shy. But, sure.
Good idea.
Hello and welcome to Coffee and Chats, as Mikey does. The episode without Mikey.
Yeah. Episode 8, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, there's a bit of a story behind that.
There is a little bit. We'll get into that in another episode.
Yeah. We'll have an episode about all the lost episodes.
All the lost episodes. It'll be in like a montage.
Oh. Lost but not forgotten.
Indeed.
Always in our minds.
Harkening back to the old days. But yeah, so what's happened is we kind of recorded a couple different episodes between our previous one and this one.
Yes.
And they had various problems with them. One of them was perfectly fine, but I switched hard drives in my laptop. And now it's very, very, very difficult to access.
Right.
The other one we hadn't recorded properly. It was recorded.
We recorded it with, I think, like the computer's onboard microphone rather than the plug-in microphone, which we're using right now.
Yeah, and no level of kind of post-production wizardry could make it better.
And I imagine it was just far too quiet and everything like that, and maybe just a bit grainy.
Yeah.
So, so that was, and I didn't realize this, because I was really surprised when we never uploaded up episode 8, the original episode 8, and I was like, I wonder, is like something wrong? And then it turns out that was the reason why.
Yeah. It's a weird one, all right.
Yeah, and
we were all there, so we all saw like the recording happening, noticed. But then the quality wasn't great on it apparently. Yeah. So that's the way it is.
That's unfortunate. I actually feel kind of bad because I thought that was a really good podcast.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
I really enjoyed it. So like we can't replicate it perfectly because it was probably about 2 weeks ago at this stage, wasn't it?
It was,
if not more.
I can remember not an awful lot, if I'm entirely honest.
I can remember some of it because I actually because I'm the chief Twitter guy of RLNL Incorporated. Like when we recorded the podcast, I actually made a note of what we discussed so that when I posted on Twitter, I could say, "Oh, we talked about these things."
Tune in to listen to our opinions.
Absolutely. So we can go back over some of the same things. Unfortunately, Mikey's not here to pitch in, which is a shame. But
maybe the next time we're all together, we'll go back over it.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the best idea.
Yeah.
With regards to the one that was just me and Mikey.
Yeah.
We had a lot of guitar talk.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
There was so much guitar talk in that one. It was great.
Was it in Mikey's room?
Yes.
Did it start because of all the guitars in his room?
It may well have.
That's what I imagine.
Being a musician, and in the last year or two in particular, I've just fallen so hard in love with playing the guitar. Like, I used to be just the kind of guy who could string a couple chords together and, play a little bit of pentatonics, which is all you need to, like, play along to something on the radio or something like that. Whereas lately, like in the last couple months or so, I've been really concertedly working on, like, technique and learning whole songs and just picking up different things.
Yeah. Cool.
Getting things into my hands so that I can play what I want to be able to play. Because that's one of the biggest kind of things in the way of most musicians is they can think a song really, really, really easily, but they can't quite either make their fingers or their voice do it. So what I want to be able to do is like play quite quickly if I need to do that.
Yeah.
Or just be able to play all the different kind of scales and different chords all along the neck, and I've been teaching myself quite religiously, I'd almost say.
Wow, fair
all
enough.
The different chord shapes, and the scales are a lot of fun. My current favourite is the Phrygian dominant, which is a really
sounds like a sex
sounding
thing. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say what everyone's
thinking. That's perfectly fair. Sex thing for sure.
Hell yeah, high five. No, we're not going to. That would probably be really uncomfortable for the listener.
Yeah.
It'd be a very sharp sound.
Oh,
go on, Phrygian dominant.
But yeah, it's a nice little one because Phrygian is a mode of the diatonic major scale.
Of course.
Indeed. And it is the mode of the fourth kind of note in it, where the modes in music are, well, based on the diatonic scale. The Ionian is the one that everybody knows, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Okay. I'm with you so far.
Ionian. Then there's a second one, which is Dorian, which is like continuing from the second note all the way up through the first note into the second again. So it's, I'm going to mess this up. Re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re.
Okay.
So
okay.
it's named all those different things because they were named after different Greek cities. So there's Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, and Locrian, which are the 7 major modes. And they're all named after different Greek cities because the guy that kind of came up with it had done a lot of traveling, and he thought, this one kind of sounds like this city. Like Doria.
Okay. That's kind of nice.
I think it was. And it's kind of a cool little history too.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I've just been learning all the different modes and all the different neck positions, and
Wow.
it's really kind of liberating to be able to mess around with modes. It's like once you get your head wrapped around it, like I've been doing music theory for years, so
Yeah.
it kind of comes second nature to me to at least understand it. Playing it and getting it into my fingers is the other thing.
Yeah, the dexterity is a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Muscle memory. Handy thing to have for the old musicians.
Yeah, I imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Guitar stuff we talked about was mostly
Mostly.
gear, like just the Floyd Rose
Oh, okay.
bridges and pickups, and it's a very niche thing. Like only guitarists really want to hear about it, and then if they are guitarists, they probably know all about it already.
Should have argued about something guitar related.
Yeah, something guitar related. Yeah.
Like which guitar makes the best noise.
Ooh, that's contentious.
I'd imagine it is.
Yes, well, I think most people agree on a couple different things. Like Gibsons are pretty much all over the place. Like you can play heavy metal on them, but I think a lot of people would use them for blues and stuff, depending on the model as well. Like the most popular is the Les Paul, the kind of cutaway shape. The Les Paul is very bluesy, but it can also be heavy metal or rock, or people just kind of play whatever they want to play, and all the different woods and stuff are just kind of affectation. I mean, you can get really expensive stuff that you can hear the difference between a cheap guitar and an expensive guitar, but beyond like spending a grand,
okay,
the difference is so minimal. It's kind of choice.
Yeah,
Like if somebody wants a really heavy sounding guitar, like
sort of like
really high output,
sort of like computers.
Yeah.
If you were to spend over $1,000 at that stage, it's just bells and whistles.
Yeah, for whatever individual thing you need.
Yeah, like that computer cost me a little bit over $1,000, but that was just because I was working and I was like, first paycheck.
Computer.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's a lot of what we talked about in
Fair
episode 8. The missing episode 8.
No, that was episode 9.
Oh yeah, that was episode 9. Episode 9.
Missing episode 8 is the one where we talked about a lot of movies.
Oh yeah, we talked about
Abkov D. Doesn't work. And we talked about The Martian.
Yeah.
Because we'd all seen The Martian.
Yeah, we'd all seen it. It's been a while now.
I think it's actually out of movies, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because if you're somehow time traveling, you should go see The Martian. It's a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. Well worth seeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't remember my opinions on it or the observations that I made. I think one of them was that he faced enough challenges.
Yeah.
Like he was challenged when things exploded, and then this happened and that happened. And I was like, if they do any more than that, then it's going to be too much. But they had a good level.
Yeah,
I was like,
I think you're right. I've heard some people say that it's different to the book. Although I know one person who has read the book and said that it's probably for the best. Like apparently there was one point in the book where he's obviously going to make it. He's obviously going to achieve his goal. And this really minor thing happens and he solves it in less than a page. And it feels like the writer goes, it's been a while since he's had a crisis. I guess I'll just put in a crisis.
Just at him.
Rather than just say and then he just gets there. He was like, oh, I guess I'll just have, and it's not even one of the major ones oh, I've got no food or oh, I've got no water. It was just a tire was misaligned or something, something it was
just hops out and just fix it.
Yeah,
good stuff. But I'd imagine that would be the kind of thing for a writer to troll people with, 2 pages from the end to be something else is gonna. No, it's not.
No, it's fine.
He's fine. He'd made it.
He's okay.
He's all right, everybody.
Everybody give him a hand.
Yeah,
but yeah. That's all the lost podcasts. Forever in our memories, etc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We didn't get to discuss our ABCs of Death thing, but I think we might even save that again for another one.
Yeah,
Because if
you know
if
what
we
should
all
do?
watch it,
Yeah, I was going to say if Mikey watches it, because I really liked what we did.
yeah.
And I'm not actually going to say what we did because I don't want to spoil it because it's going to be a double surprise. But I thought it was really fun, and I was thinking that if we did that again with DC, it would probably be even more fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Like there are still other ones that I can't remember, like off the top of my head. Like watching them, I'll probably remember. But
I remembered. I actually remembered a single point about ABCs of Death I didn't make in episode 8 that I felt slightly frustrated about.
okay, I'll write it down.
So I'll try and make it next time.
Cool. Next time on Coffee and Chats.
Yeah, actually, interestingly enough, this is one of the few coffee and chats where I'm actually drinking coffee because it's quite late, and
It is
I don't
quite.
want to fall asleep.
No,
But I've
if you
actually.
did, I'd keep you comfortable. I'd make sure you got
Oh, thank you.
got nice and comfy.
But I've actually almost run out of coffee.
Oh my goodness me! How long are
What are we going to do? What are we going to
This
do?
is no longer Coffee and Chats.
Oh no, it's just chats.
It's just chats, straight up.
Yeah, so let's talk about something else.
Okay.
That was much funnier than it had in your ITV.
Yeah, I'm tired of this. Talk about something else, quick.
So, careful. It's a microphone. It won't like that.
No.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning to you before before the podcast, there's a really interesting war game that I've sort of been following. I wouldn't say avidly, but I took an interest in the concept and I've kind of been checking up on it. Sort of like sort of like an uncle. Sort of like an uncle who's like
checking in.
a friendly uncle who's just like, "You okay?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm fine," and that's it. Sort of like that. Cool. But with a war game, and I'm the uncle, I guess. So yeah, the war game is called Mobile Frame Zero. It's a pretty interesting idea. It's sort of a war game where you control a relatively small squad of little robots, and you kind of build the robots. So like you go like, I want this one to be like really fast and has like a close range weapon, and this one's kind of like slow, but he's got a long range weapon, and like this guy's got like a sensor suite, and he's like sort of the support guy and everything.
Yeah.
So it's really really cool like that. But there's no models like a normal war game like 40K or Hordes or War Machine or
Where you have
anything
to
like
buy
that.
specific things.
Yeah, instead the sort of suggestion in the rulebook is to build the models out of Lego, and there's loads of resources online to
I like it.
it's like sort of instruct you on how to do that. But like the rulebook also says, look, if you haven't got Lego, just use like Gundam models or Mega Blocks or whatever.
Playmobil.
Like Playmobil, whatever.
Like
man.
everybody has Lego. So far as I don't think I've ever met a person who doesn't have Lego. Although it hasn't been a talking point with most people.
Yeah,
It's kind of the thing you assume about someone.
I think it is. I
Maybe
mean,
that's
like, yeah. I mean, that's true. It's bad to make assumptions, but I think it's a relatively harmless assumption. And I think that, like, I think that I think that if you were incorrect, it would be a very inoffensive assumption to make.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
I can't imagine a circumstance where you assume someone owns Lego and they don't, and they're offended by the assumption, unless they're like the head of Playmobil or something.
I never played with Lego as a child.
And he's just like, yeah, he'd be so mad.
So mad.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like if you're the head of like Playmobil or like Mega Bloks, or I'm trying to think of a third one, Meccano. If you're the head of Meccano, Connects. That's true. Yeah, if unless you're like the head of one of those companies, yeah, and even then you probably have
Which
like
just despises all other
yeah,
toys.
it's just like you can only have your product in the house.
Yeah.
It's actually built out of it. Connects guy had a rough job of it because
yeah,
the panels
that's
are
all.
pretty small. That's really hard. At least the
small
Meccano guy has metal.
Yeah,
so,
he's good.
Yeah,
He's fine.
the wolf isn't going to get through his house.
Yeah. And is it like a RPG kind of style thing?
As in,
Like, is it like, how do I mean? Like, are you gonna have them like on a board? Is there a set board, or is it like
I see what you mean, like sort of like a grid or whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's actually kind of even the sort of measurement system is freeform. It like suggests a length of the table, but then for like the like ranges, it sort of does this system where it says like either use these measurements, or if you can't, like use a pencil. So like the table is like the sort of board of play is like maybe 4x4 pencil lengths, and then the range of the weapon is the pencil, and then stuff, and like everything's
cool.
based on that, like that sort of idea. Like if you haven't got then they can say like, oh, and if you have like, if you want to measure with inches, you can do this or whatever. But if you don't, then you can just use a pencil.
Use a pencil.
Which is nice. Yeah. So it's a really interesting game. In fact, the guy who made it, Joshua Newman, he also made a sort of not quite an expansion, but like he followed up on the idea. Like he sort of built a world for the game to take place in, and then he made an expansion called Alpha Bandit. It's not really an expansion. It's kind of a hard to. It's called Alpha Bandit, but basically instead of controlling like Gundam robots fighting, you control spaceships.
Oh, cool.
And there's like rules for like momentum and like firing arcs and stuff like that. And like there's this really fun thing where the scale is so different, and that in fact one of the weapons you can take as a battleship is like an entire squad of the single guys you use when you're playing Mobile Frame Zero, which I always thought was very cute.
That is nice.
So like you have incredibly talented people like making like model Lego like little ships and little Gundams and stuff. It's so awesome. Like it's actually almost worth going on the subreddit just to look at all the really impressive things other people have made.
Done. Yeah.
But yeah, and
What was it called again?
Mobile Frame Zero.
Mobile Frame Zero.
It's really cool. I think I think its biggest downside is like because kind of is because it's like because it says just make your models out of whatever. Like there's no like in a way official support. So like I mean I've almost felt that it would be really cool if like Lego in some way gave them the okay. Like if Lego released
and then
kits,
kind of released,
like
that'd be awesome.
Like because like I don't know, like if you just release kits of like little robots, like kids will buy them because they're little robots, and then like people who play the game will buy them because they want the little robots to play the game with.
Yeah.
But I mean, like that's up to Lego, and maybe they just haven't heard of it, or maybe they've decided that it doesn't perfectly like suit whatever image they want to do or whatever. But there are like third-party people who are selling things instead.
Oh, nice.
So there's one called mobilefray.me. So it's mobile frame, but I don't know what ME. I don't know what area that is. ME is.
It's probably one of those weird domains now. Like you can get all kinds of extensions onto your domain now.
Yeah.
Like there's one like domain.com. They sell domains that you can have like .ninja at the end and all kinds of silliness.
I know that some people just use like interesting ones. Like I know there's a podcast I listen to called Regular Features, and they have like regularfeature.es, which is Spain. So like it's technically like a Spanish website, but like I thought like you can do things like that, and that's anyway.
Yeah.
It's an interesting website, and like I kind of appreciate that they provide like pre-supplied kits, but they are quite expensive. Which is.
Well, I imagine they'd have to kind of buy the Lego stuff themselves, and then kind of pick and choose the different little individual bits.
Yeah, I mean, like that, and that's the thing, because like when you look at sort of what they sell, and you kind of go, okay, well, like they're selling this for this much, and then you kind of compare that to, because there's loads of websites like Bricklink and Brick Owl, which both just sell individual Lego pieces.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
There's a whole secondary market for Lego pieces.
Cool.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. There's some Lego pieces that are just valuable because they're more rare than others.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
And there's stuff like there's a thing called the Travis brick, which is a type of brick. I can't describe it, but it's really, really useful in loads of Lego construction. So it's like there's the 3 T's of like building. I think it's mobile frames. It's like Travis blocks, taps, and I can't remember the third one now. But like it's stuff like that. Like there's this whole awesome subculture of just people who love Lego and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like maybe they're actually selling them for a relatively reasonable price, but it does seem like quite expensive.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a shame. I mean, I guess the only reason it matters is for people like me who aren't satisfied to like build a
not
crap,
to have the real thing.
like and not even like the real thing, but like I've actually got some models over there in a bag that I can show you.
Cool.
But like they had to look good enough, or I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't just get like say 3 blocks and stacked on top of each other or whatever. Like
this is enemy.
it's like exactly. Like, and even though that's fine. The rules of the game don't care.
Yeah.
But like I care. I'm like, no, they have to look
cool.
nice.
Yeah,
or
that's why
just,
X-Wing is so good.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, man. Yeah, X-Wing is another excellent war game. Ha, excellent.
Yep. Let's move on.
Very quickly. We played that recently.
We did.
With DC.
All 3 of us.
Yeah.
Coffee and Chats got together and played.
Yeah, it was great. You and DC teamed up and played the Rebel Alliance.
We did.
And I played the Fearsome Empire. And I got slaughtered.
You did, even though you had Mr. Vader.
Even though I had Mr. Vader.
Yeah, I had a named character who died in the first
I
turn.
had Dad Vader, Mr. Vader. He was there. He was very upset. He was a grouchy old man.
Yeah, he was a bit.
Yeah,
he did his escape thing where he just kind of spun off into the distance. No. But he was in 0G, so he wouldn't really feel it.
Yeah, that's a good point,
kind of,
actually, yeah.
I mean, if he kept his eyes open and he was just looking out the window, seeing all the stars go crazy, that would be the only sickening thing. But if he just sat there with his eyes closed and waited for someone to come,
just sung something quite soothing. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a really soothing song to interrupt with.
Moon River.
Oh man, river. Creatures. God damn it. This respirator sucks. You'd think in that kind of future-y time that they get something good.
Yeah.
Like he can breathe outside of it.
Yeah.
Like he does temporarily.
There's actually I on Wikipedia actually I read once, I was reading about the Darth Vader suit, and apparently there's like in like some of the stories from his perspective, it's made quite clear that the suit is like deeply uncomfortable. And that like he's like, you know, he doesn't like being inside it, it's really uncomfortable all the time, but like he even like there's a suspicion that he feels that maybe the Emperor deliberately put him in the suit so that he'd always be weaker than the Emperor.
That's a very Sith thing.
Which is absolutely the kind of thing the Emperor
Sith
would do. So you know,
classic Sith Emperor.
classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mobile Prime Zero, very interesting game.
Yeah.
I would love to see Lego do some official support. But like
comment and subscribe if you think Lego should.
Yeah, just go harass Lego's Twitter or something.
Yeah.
There's actually there's actually a really cool other resource unrelated to like the pre-supplied models or whatever, where there's this guy who basically reviews Lego kits.
Cool.
So he'll get a Lego kit and he'll say, "Oh, this is actually quite good because you get this number of pieces and you can use them to build this and stuff like that."
As well as a bunch of spare stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
for customization.
And then he even goes like, because one of the core things of the game is like you don't just bring an army; it's always sort of a capture the flag. So you always bring like kind of the equivalent of flags, but they can be whatever. So
and like a diverse kind of army thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like your army could be like sort of a civilians militia, and they have like a tractor and like supply of food or whatever. And like and so the guy will say something like, "Oh, well, this small kit is like a tractor, and that's really good for a possible like objective because it looks quite distinctive on the map and it looks nice." And stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's really cool. But yeah,
you could probably have different like levels of battle as well. Like you could have farmers against like the local militia kind of thing, or you could have like heavy like future soldier robot things fighting aliens kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then there's
limited by your imagination.
Wow, like normal Lego. But they do suggest like even the actual the front page when Josh was talking about the rules, he's like, I think the game is best with 3 players, which is interesting. It's one of the only times that I've seen like a war game where you're not sort of dueling. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like in Warhammer, for example, it's actually almost like adding more people. It gets kind of complicated.
It does very quickly,
especially just in the number of like turns and like the amount of time it takes. And I've never seen a Hordes or War Machine game that isn't just 2 people. X-Wing is quite good with multiplayer.
Yeah,
because you just basically split it up into squadrons and just say you take those. Mm-hmm. And obviously we play with the house rule of you don't get to look at your allies' dials because it's
that was
infinitely more funny. Like
bumping into each other, like the inept rebel alliance.
It's just
they had enough radios for like 2-way radios for squads to work, but not for each other.
No,
we couldn't quite fund it.
Oh man, I love that.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a cool game.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Had fun with that. But outside of all kinds of board games and stuff, I recently went to a convention of sorts. I went to Erticon, which is an anime convention, and a bit of gaming tacked on the side.
Okay.
And I went with a couple of friends of mine for the whole weekend. On Friday we got down, we just kind of scoped it out and had a bit of fun. There was a karaoke night on.
Oh, wow,
and people
nice.
pointed at me and thought I was cosplaying Danny Sexbang from Game Grumps already. Because I had the hair.
You actually look so much like him.
I know, it's a little scary.
I was on Twitter today and someone just retweeted a picture of them and I was like, oh my God. He looks so much like Tim.
Yeah,
it's
weird.
It's actually really strange.
Yeah. So I was... we went there, and since people kept on calling me Danny Sexbang, at the karaoke I sang "The Last Unicorn," which is his song that he did for the whole Last Unicorn thing, which is a really pretty song, and it's for a really good cause. So I really support that.
Oh, cool.
He has a free download on the video that he did out for it, so I've been listening to that pretty religiously because it's just really pretty.
That's nice. I like pretty songs.
Danny's harmonies tend to be a little sparse, but they're pretty intricate, and I really just enjoy his voice a lot of the time.
Fair enough.
He's a good voice. I think he could push it a little further, but I think he's been getting a lot of voice training and stuff like that in the last year or two since Ninja Sex Party and like Starbomb and all those guys kind of took off a bit.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine he knows what he should and shouldn't do. I mean, I'd love to hear him just go to town on like some really heavy vocal stuff. But yeah, he has a really nice, pure vocal range. But anyway, I sang that song at the karaoke night, and we finished it all up, and people clapped because I'm one of those singy people, so I could actually sing on time
weird.
and knew the words.
You shouldn't be allowed to karaoke.
Yeah, I shouldn't be allowed.
That's not the point. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, I did that. And then the next day, I was in a little bit late, and I got up late, and I was having a pretty tough morning. So my friend just texted me and said, "Yep, come in whenever you can." And I was like, "Cool." So I was about to leave, and I thought, I have a leather jacket and lots of black t-shirts and black jeans and black shoes. I could totally just cosplay as Danny Sexbang from the I Bergie Bergie commercials. The kind of gothic, like, oh, God, kind of kid. And I totally did. And I got recognized by a couple people over the con.
That's awesome.
But my friend Timora went as a weeping angel from Doctor Who.
Oh, interesting.
And my other friend Mel went as the Fourth Doctor. So they had lots of people going to them, oh, can we get a photo? And I just kind of stepped off to the side. I got face painted eyeliner because I didn't have any, and it looked
nice.
really, really great. But anyway, so Saturday was cosplay as Danny Sexbang and just kind of watch Timora and the Fourth Doctor get all the photos.
Yeah.
But then on Sunday, I wore a cosplay that I've been working pretty hard on with Timora. And I was Thor.
Yeah.
And my friend Timora was Loki. And we put a lot of work into that stuff. And on the day, I actually tried to get a wig, a blonde wig.
Okay, yeah.
But my head is way too big for any wigs that I found. And I found one that looked kind of right, but I just couldn't fit it on my head.
Yeah.
Like, there was, like, I had a kind of a skull cap thing that you put all your hair into before you put your wig on.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sat like what are the hats that the Jewish wear? The yarmulkes, or something like that.
Yeah, the kind of the sort of ones like that. I know the one you mean.
Those ones. And it just kind of sat on top of my head like that and looked ridiculous. So my friend Tamora just kind of tied 2 braids onto the top of my hair, and it looked grand.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we did a little skit where we sang "Tough to Be a God" from the Road to El Dorado.
I love that song.
And it was. I thought it was very, very apt. And we had fun with it. We just kind of toyed around, and I was Tulio and she was the other guy. I can't remember his name.
No, I can't.
Yeah, but we did a skit, and there were a lot of other skits, and a lot of them were dancey, and some of them were singy, and we were convinced that one group in particular who did a really, really good dance routine were going to win it, and we were like, all right, fair enough. But then they called us up, and we won!
Oh, well done.
Yay, go me. And Ty. Thank you. But yeah, we won a little hamper of sweets.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then for the rest of the day, we were constantly said, "Oh, can we get a photo? By the way, well done in the cosplay skits." And I was like, no. I was probably the dorkiest Thor there ever was, because I was like, "Oh, don't be all like that," because I'm not one who likes lots of fuss being made over. So
that's
when
just
it happened,
Irish.
I think I get it from my dad because he's very much the same. And so my Saturday was watching my friends get photos, and the Sunday was getting photos, and
awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. We might even put a link to a series of photos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen loads of them. They're really good. I really like them.
Yay!
But unfortunately, whenever I see them, I can't like them because they're not my friends.
Yeah.
So I don't have the ability. I'm just like, I'm powerless here.
Yeah. My friend Tamora is putting together a little gallery for us. So
awesome. That's a good idea.
I'll either link to that or make it hopefully possible to like for my friends.
Yeah, or even just get some of the pictures and stick them up, because I mean it's just a still image of the coffee cup, so just cover don't worry about it, man.
Yeah, cool.
Coffee cup's not sacred. Do what you like.
I'll put them up right there. Now I have to commit to editing this video.
Yeah, you do. Yes.
I'm going to edit this one, all right? Yes. So everything that happens now is going to be me.
Yes. I've never edited a cover.
No?
Yeah.
I'm going to have fun with this one.
I'm 8 for 8, I guess. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever
This is
number
going
it
to be
is.
my first one. Michael's been doing a good job of it.
He has, yeah.
Yeah. Good fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great old time.
I know that a couple of my friends went to Airticon, actually. A friend of mine, you know Owen? I think you've run into him at least once. He goes
Possibly.
to DC parties. He was at the League of Legends tournament there.
Oh, cool. A couple of guys were at the League of Legends.
Yeah,
I saw Jack Clinton there as well.
Yeah, I don't know if Jack was playing or if he was just spectating, but Owen's team won, actually. They won the tournament in the thing, and that means they get into the Invitational for the UK and Ireland. And I don't know exactly how they go up after that, but they're in that now, which is good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
They had to. It's interesting because apparently how it worked was there was just loads of teams and it was just open, and then they created the Invitational, and then every team that was just sort of around already got invited to the Invitational automatically, but like they had to earn their way in with this tournament because they were a new team, so they didn't have the sort of existing. They didn't exist at the time, but yeah, they won. And they were very, very happy about that. They got some prizes and all. Yeah, and we're all much worse than he is at League of Legends. We just sort of go, whatever you say.
Yeah, I played a little bit. Like, I played very, very sparsely. Like, I signed up very, very early on.
Oh, okay.
When Shyvana was one of the free-to-play characters, and I just fell in love with Shyvana.
Yeah, that's fair.
I love dragons. Dragons are
okay.
just super badass, and I love everything about them.
Okay.
And Shyvana was like perfect for me because she just
dragon.
turns into a dragon.
Yeah.
Which is badass, in my opinion. I wish that I could be a dragon.
I thought you were going to say I wish that I could be Shyvana.
I wish I could be Shyvana. That would also be super cool.
She's kind of grumpy though.
She is a bit, but
You're like
I'm okay
you're
with
like
that.
a nicer person. Like if I had to choose between having like you and her on a podcast, I'd stick with you. I might have her as a guest if you were here.
Yeah,
but like I
like
wouldn't
a geek out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like
yeah.
But no, yeah.
But I played very sparsely. Like I haven't had it on my laptop for the last year or so since my hard drive started crapping out.
Yeah.
But I never got to level 30. Which was the kind of ranked play.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
It's been out since like 2007-ish, right?
Yeah, it's been out for quite a long time.
Yeah, so that's like 7 to 8 years I've been playing it. I got to level 22, I think.
Ah, that's most of the way there.
And it was really cool of the League of Legends guys. I hadn't played for a while, and I think they looked at my account and saw that I almost exclusively played Shyvana after I bought her with the influence points thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I haven't given them any money yet. And they must have looked at that and said, okay, this guy likes Shyvana. Because then they gave me a free skin for
nice.
Shyvana, a championship skin. So people were like, oh, sweet skin. Yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. And I'm like, lol.
Help.
Yeah. I was a relatively good support, and I could never quite get the whole jungling thing down, which is what everybody insisted I do.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, nope, I'm going mid, solo.
Yeah, she's a good jungler, and I think she can also go top. But
I was always super comfortable mid.
I agree. I'm mostly a support player because I'm not good enough. There's a thing called last hitting in League of Legends. League of Legends is a game. I'm not going to explain it because it's really complicated. And if you don't know what it is,
It's a MOBA.
I don't even know how you found us and don't know how to go. Like that's actually not possible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead. Like it's just not.
Is MOBA multiplayer online battle arena?
Yes.
I was always kind of curious.
It was the term they just came up to describe them because they're really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know where I saw this, but there was a really interesting discussion about how like MOBAs could never be created by developers. So the first MOBA was called Defense of the Ancients, and it was actually a mod for Warcraft 3.
Oh.
And there's a really firm belief that, like, you know, from a lot of game designers, that basically, like, that could only have come from a fan creation because the idea is so strange.
Yeah.
And, like, it's sort of like, you know, if you tried to present this to someone, they'd be like, well, wait, why would people, like, you're telling me you're making a game with, like, 6 characters and 1 map. Who's going to play that? Like, that's really weird. Why would anyone? And it controls like an RTS, but you only have 1 guy and you don't even have a base. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, and I thought that was really interesting. The idea that like this can only exist because someone just had this idea.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember his name. I think it's like Icy Frog. That's probably wrong.
Something like that.
But he's still working on Dota 2 with Valve.
Cool.
Interestingly
that's
enough.
good. That they keep on there.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. The idea that because it started as a mod, and it's sort of like, you know, because it's so strange, and like even like right now where I can't explain like to an audience what it is, like it sort of shows you what I mean. Like you can't, you know, like imagine trying to pitch it to someone when it didn't exist. You're like, it's like. Okay,
so there's a bunch of heroes on a map, right?
And there's a bunch of minions, and then there's some towers, and they walk around killing each other, but they also kill minions for money, so they can buy items to kill them better.
Like
God.
glorified tower defense, but not quite.
But
it's like tower
it's sort of
assault
weird.
as well.
Yeah, but like, yeah, exactly, and like it's so strange, and I think that's really interesting.
It is a weird alien kind of thing. Like,
I think. Yeah. Anyway, I think specifically with League, it's, you know, I think like most people will have at least tried it. It's not for everyone. I think the main thing when you're playing League is to figure out like why you play League. So like, you know, I've very much decided that I'm playing League to like just enjoy it and play with my friends.
Yeah.
So I don't play any ranked because I'm just not interested in the very competitive environment. Because you know, mostly because it's a bit high pressure, and then also because there's a lot less, I guess, freedom. You're expected to sort of
stick to your role.
Stick to your role, and stick to like what's known and what's you know, appropriate and successful.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're not playing in that, people are a little bit more forgiving if you try something unusual. I mean, I say a little bit more forgiving. They're not that forgiving.
Yeah.
Loads of people
So many people go into the random choice. Like almost all that I did in League of Legends was play the random ones, because I didn't have any friends online, because I didn't know anyone else who played it. So I just I didn't even know that it was possible. Like I had stopped playing it for about a year, and then I got into a game after the stuff had moved around a little bit, and I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, and I was like, huh. And then there was a specific lobby where they were able to like wait, like they'd have 2 people or something on the team, and they just had to wait for other people to sign up to like be able to play on a team kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is this a new kind of level? And it was apparently no. It was just a different mode that I had never played before, because I only knew one very linear way of playing. You just click, 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 click. I'm playing now.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know. It's a very diverse game, and I think since they did the whole League of Legends tournaments thing, they had what was the first like major league thing that they did that had a huge prize.
Oh, the Worlds.
The first Worlds was like 15 million or something, or maybe it was just 1.5 million.
But it was a lot of money.
It was a huge amount of money.
I mean, even split between 5 people, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, and then after that, they exploded.
Yeah,
like if somebody wants something to drive, like to get really big, I think they have to find themselves a groundswell of a relatively large group of people that play the game, that you can have like a world-class standard initially, or near enough, and then you put a huge investment into like a World Series, and then from there I'm pretty sure it can like support itself. Yeah,
apparently something like 40-something% of new players in League were brought in by the tournaments.
Yeah,
which is incredible. My in fact, my brother told me that statistic, and he thinks that's really weird, because he's like, why would you watch the game if you didn't understand it? Like he's like, well, but you know, you're watching this and you're like, is that good? Did he do good? I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I don't think it was people who watched it. It was probably people who heard that there is a World Series now in a video game that anyone can play, that is free to play.
Yeah,
like, and then just hop into it and play for days and days.
It could be. That's very true, actually.
Yeah. Like, you'd have to only hear there's a game that is a massive prize for and is free, and like, okay,
that's fair.
You can invest money in it, and you can buy the characters and stuff and specific skins and whatnot. But I was never quite into that whole thing.
I was into it for a while when I was very into League, but now that I've gone back to it, I haven't bothered. I'm very, at the moment, I'm quite happy, because I've Like because I seem to go between like peaks and troughs, and I haven't played in about like a year or something.
Okay.
And I'm just going back to it now, and I'm just sort of like revisiting old champions, trying to figure out who I like and who I don't like, things like that.
Because apparently all the roles change somehow. Like when I first played Shyvana, which is probably why I still play mid or almost insist on playing mid or support. Like I played that and everyone was like, cool, that's a good role for you, you do that. And then I started playing, like the most recent time that I played, I think it was the 2014 update that they did. They were like, no, what are you doing, solo mid as Shyvana? I was like, oh, it's just a freaking game.
No, I don't understand. Like,
I do not understand how they decide roles.
Like, I mean, like, they always try to explain it, but, like, I don't understand why people, like, care. Like, I absolutely understand if you're playing a ranked game, because the agreement of a ranked game is sort of like, we are playing in a competitive environment, everyone is trying to do their best, and, most characters in the game have, like, have a best way to be built, based on their abilities and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's fine. But, like, when you're not playing a ranked game, it actually doesn't really matter. And I don't know, like, why it should matter, Like, and if people want to play unusual positions or whatever, man, this is probably really boring for people to understand League.
We talk about all kinds of niche stuff. We'll eventually be so broad in all of our niche stuff that we'll eventually talk to everyone.
I was going to make a joke about how good thing we're not a gaming podcast, or we'd have to mention Fallout 4, but I couldn't think of how to make it funny. Anyway,
we might even accidentally mention Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, piss.
We almost did it.
God damn
But Troll Lord Tim.
But yeah, League's an interesting game. Like all the esports are interesting. Apparently, the new and I won't mention much because I don't know anything about it. Apparently, the new Call of Duty has there's parts of it that people think are a little bit more esports oriented.
Okay.
And they did try to do the esports thing before, and people didn't like it. But there is now the idea that, like, even if they're not kind of really pushing for it, they're going to start introducing elements so that, like, if they decide, you know what, we're going to do this, then they have more of a groundwork, which I think is interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think the whole esports thing is really interesting. Like it's
it's weird.
It's very strange. Like, and then there's the whole thing where, like, chess is a sport, so, like, like, it's fine technically, but, like, it's really strange. There was actually, I remember there was a really interesting thing. I remember recently I was reading about how apparently there was a bridge, the Bridge League in Britain was being funded by the Sports and Tourism Board. Is that one board? They were being funded They were being funded by the sports department of the government, basically. The same people who look after the football teams and everything. They were paying the Bridge League to, like, host bridge tournaments and stuff.
Cool.
And they basically decided, bridge isn't a sport, we're not going to fund you anymore. And so then the bridge tournament was the Bridge League was trying to argue, basically, well, you shouldn't because of this and that and the other. It was quite interesting. I kind of, like, I think they were right to say the bridge probably isn't a sport, although I don't know, because chess is a sport. That's the sticking point. If chess wasn't a sport, it would be fine. It would be very clear.
Yeah, everything would be all right then.
But we decided at some stage that chess is a sport, and now it's like, well, I mean, are you telling me that the pieces in chess are heavier than the cards in bridge, so it's technically enough lifting capacity? Like,
you have to have some strength to be able to play chess.
Just all these grandmasters just pumping it like. That'd be a great gif.
Would be.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know, it's very strange. I think I was talking to someone about it, and they were saying, well, ideally what would happen is they'd get moved. They wouldn't get. It wouldn't be that the sports board, they don't get any funding. It would be that a different like department of the government who's, like, I don't know, entertainment and whatever, or like, entertainment and services or whatever, would instead fund them because it's not a sport or whatever. And if that's the case, that's fine. I mean, as long as they're being funded. But I mean, I do know for a fact that games of any kind, and just bridge is good because it's so popular, at least amongst older people, is good for the mind and staving off, like, dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. Like it because you're just like your brain is, in a way, like a muscle, and that if you use it, it's it'll sort of stay healthy.
Yeah, it won't wither. And,
I mean, like, which is sort of the appeal of the brain training and stuff like that. But like, I think as far as I could tell, the consensus was that, like, any game that requires thought, it doesn't matter what it is good for your brain. Like, you know, as long as you're sort of looking at something and thinking about it, like, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, bridge or chess or checkers or I don't know, Candy Crush Saga or Call of Duty. Yeah, I mean, Call of Duty is probably a bit faster for me. Like, you know, or like Command and Conquer, which I don't even know if that exists anymore.
I think it stopped after Red Alert
But like
3.
like, you know, whatever it is, like they're all good for your mind. And I think that's sort of like the point. And so I do hope that whatever happened to the Bridge League, it's okay.
Yeah, I think that board game kind of sports should be kind of given a separate identity. Like, esports have esports, like physical sports should be sports, but then other sports should be like chess and bridge and board game kind of thing.
Sort of like mental sports or whatever. Yeah.
Mental sports. That's
That's a better term. Yeah. I mean, like even stuff like there's like, you know, card game tournaments like Magic the Gathering or Android Netrunner. Even Doomtown Reloaded has some tournaments.
Cool. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually,
I was deep in that for a while.
Really? I didn't know that about you. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be boring to other people, but I actually really want to ask you about it.
Yeah.
So, like, when did that start?
I was in first year.
First year?
Yeah, and I started playing that for a little while, but then I got kind of serious in third year. And into fourth year when I had nothing to do. So I got relatively good. I got a relatively high ranking in Ireland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I never pursued it super hard. I mean, I think I only ever bought one whole box of cards, which is like €72.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the rest of my money purchasing was for individual cards for my decks and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Because I played dragons, because I love dragons.
I've actually got a dragons deck in that cupboard over there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
What kind of dragon?
It was actually a pre-packaged deck that came with Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have that
and
one as
a couple of other ones like Dark Wyvern and I think I also have Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon.
Ooh,
I got him in a booster.
yeah, I have him too.
He's the really shiny ghost rare one where
Super
you can't
shiny.
actually see what he is, which is great. I love when I can't see the art on the card. It's my favorite type.
He's like Blue Eyes White Dragon with an effect. Like, just good Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah.
And as far as I remember, it's a pretty brutal effect. Like, it's pretty powerful from what I can remember.
It's partly to do with undoing Exceed monsters. My God, this is so boring for everyone who doesn't know.
Well, yeah.
I'm not even going to try to explain them. But yes, you play dragons. I have a dragon deck there. You can actually look at it after the podcast or right now if you want.
We should fight sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got one good dragons deck. I think I have a Dark World deck, which is okay, and then I have a deck I made of scrap, which is awful.
Cool.
Anyway,
my two decks were Armed Dragon leveling and Horus of the Black Flame Dragon leveling. So I was a fan of both the leveling dynamic and dragons.
I know that I think Steven had an Armed Dragon deck as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they were trickier to play than Horus because he started with a level 4 and that's a relatively powerful
relatively good level.
Start. Anyway, yeah.
Jesus.
Stop, Tim.
This is like the boring edition of Coffee and Chats.
The niche version.
Oh, God.
It's not boring, it's niche.
It's not, that's fair. I hope we can actually reach the niche.
Yeah, well, eventually we'll be so broad.
That's really interesting that you were into Yu-Gi-Oh! Would you ever go back, do you think?
I might do. I'd considered it, but then all that synchro shit started happening. And I just completely gave up.
It's just so funny. You sound like an old man. And then that synchro. Back in my day,
shit.
Back in my day, we had fusion summons and we were happy for it. There was only one ritual and it was Blackluster Soldier. It's like, sorry.
I played a deck that was Blackluster Soldier on a Game Boy Advance game.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, and I kicked ass at it. I never lost a game with that deck.
Wow, fair play.
Yeah. But synchro stuff is just insanity. And it just completely overpowered everything else. And apparently nowadays they just keep making things to counter the previous set that they released. Yeah. So synchro countered everything before it, essentially. And then the next deck countered synchro, and then the next deck countered the guys that countered synchro. So it was essentially you have to buy the new deck.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I always thought that was a problem that Yu-Gi-Oh! Had. It seemed to have a lot of power creep, and it also seemed to cards were very this is probably kind of boring as well, but like this is talking about the design of Yu-Gi-Oh! For people who know what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is. But like, I thought that the if you look at and I'll do a comparison here. So like if you look at like a Magic card, if you take a given, I don't know, if you take like if you take like a given sort of card that relates to other cards, so maybe a card that says all your red creatures get bleh, you know, like that would be sort of a magic card. But then like Yu-Gi-Oh would say like, if you special summon this card doing this, then all your cards with the like armed ninja name get this.
Yeah.
And then the thing is really specific, like plus 300 attack, but only if it's the full moon and you've synchro summoned, and also you've got a field card, and
and
you're
they started getting
Jesus,
very specific stuff.
Have you actually? Yeah, I think I mean, I even like the obvious way to do it is just to get like a Yu-Gi-Oh card and just read all the text on it, and realize that that's like five full sentences.
Yeah, my favorite one was something Dreadnought. I can't remember, but the text was so small. It was like a few little dots per letter.
I just
it was the most difficult thing.
Surely there's a point where they're making this card and they're just like, no more effects, no more. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, because that was his effect, but then he had to have another card like that allowed him to be summoned that gave him an effect that was described on that card.
No. Yeah, you see, that's I don't like that.
Yeah,
that's
I remember
spoopy.
At one point I think it was maybe the set before I quit the whole kind of scene, was they were kind of trying to push combos.
Quit this scene.
I'm out, y'all. They were trying to push for like combination things. So if you played a card and then you played a magic card, then if you played another magic card after you played one magic card, like in a chain kind of thing, where it was activated because of the effect of something, and everybody hated that. So they kind of dumped that real quick.
Yeah,
but I don't know, I got tired of it after synchro stuff happened, and then I started losing too much.
That's
it
fair.
wasn't fair, because I want dragons to win everything. Although there are a lot of synchro dragons, I just don't like the synchro dynamic.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you for validating that.
No, I mean, like, absolutely. If that's how you want to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh. I didn't
Next
know
subject.
I didn't know you weren't. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I was for a long
But
time.
yeah, sorry. We were talking about card tournaments, and there's also Pokemon card game tournaments, aren't
Really?
there? I think there probably
I think I've heard whispers of it.
You know, I'm going to say that there almost certainly are somewhere.
Yeah.
Although it's actually.
You
What?
reminded me of something. Keep going.
I was only going to say they're the only game that I've like never seen played anywhere, if that makes sense. Like in say Gamers World in town, or even in my college, I've seen people playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I've seen people playing Magic, loads of Magic. Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh are the two big ones, definitely. I've seen some people playing Android Netrunner, but I've never seen anyone play Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean the I never quite understood it. I collected the cards.
Oh, everyone
as a
collected
kid,
the cards.
but I had no idea what to do.
No one knew
with
how to
them.
play.
Nope, not
You
a
just
chance.
what you did right was you went, I want that card because it's a Charizard.
Yeah.
And that was the extent of your
man.
reasoning.
If anybody has a Charizard, send it to us. A shiny
Please.
Charizard.
Oh my god, if you do, I don't even know what we'd have to dedicate every other podcast we ever make to you.
Yeah.
I'm not even
for any reason. We just want it. Don't look it up. Don't look up anything about the card. Just send it to us.
Fair enough. No, I was just really like, I just love the cards. I actually used to have
It's worth a good $7,000.
Really?
Yeah. I think it might even be worth more
Jesus.
now because collectors have bought them all up and
Oh,
they're
of course,
so
yeah.
sparse
Because of the
now.
price, yeah. Man, I wonder if I still have that binder of old Pokemon cards. I know I don't have a Charizard before you get excited, but I do think I had an
Yeah.
old Vileplume and an old Venusaur and stuff.
Yeah, I have. Did you
I
get
had
the old
fucking-
Mewtwo that you got
Yes,
when you?
yes. I
So many people
I had
have
fucking.
that.
I had like.
great.
I had for some reason. I had like 6 Vaporeons.
Cool.
When I was
that
when
was
I was
a friend of mine's favorite Pokemon.
Vaporeons are a lot of the first generation Eevees are beautiful Pokemon.
Yeah,
They're all
they are,
really well
truly.
designed. They're really distinct. 10 out of 10. No, but
Would play again.
but like for some reason, actually, we should move on to Pokemon.
I was gonna say.
Oh, is that what you're gonna say? Okay, cool. I think what happened was at some stage, I no fucking clue how. At some stage, I got loads of French cards. So in between the French cards, and at one stage I remember somewhere nearby was selling off all the Pokemon cards cheap to get rid of them, and my dad like bartered, basically haggled for like really cheap, like a box of boosters for me for really cheap, which was awesome of him.
Cool.
And like I ended up with like just like 6 or 7 like Vaporeons, and like I think 2 of them were shiny. I was like, I just had loads. I just didn't know what to do with them because I didn't have any decks because I didn't know how to play. But like I just had loads of Vaporeons. It was really cool.
Binders full of Vaporeons.
Yeah, just layer after layer of Vaporeon.
Remember that random thing? I can't even remember what the specific point of it was, but there was an American like Democrat or one of those politicians who said they had binders full of women for something. I can't remember specifically what, but one of their arguing points was, I think it was something about some sexist remark they'd made before, but like, we have binders full of women. And somebody like remixed it into a song. It was quite a big thing. It was hilarious.
Oh dear.
Anyway, yeah, I still have one of the little original Pokemon little folder booky things that you kept them safe in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had 2 of them, but I turned one of them into a Yu-Gi-Oh one, which I'm very proud of. I scanned my Arm Dragon level 10 and my Red Eyes Darkness Dragon and printed them out and then cut them and slid them into the sleeves.
Oh,
so
cool.
it was really cool. I was very proud of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Before we move on to the next subject, 'cause I think I know what you're going to say. Which one is your favorite?
I have a little something.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
surprise
What's your favorite evolution?
Probably Flareon. He doesn't get much love because he's not very useful to anyone. Because
No,
apparently
you're right.
his moveset is just horrendous.
It's not great.
But I've always loved the fire Pokemon. I mean, most of my starters, I tended to go for other things, but I loved all of the different fire Pokemon, like Magmar and Vulpix and Ninetales.
Interesting. So as a follow-up question, which one's your favorite starter?
Ooh.
I'm just curious because you were talking about them.
From like which generation? From all the generations?
Overall,
Okay.
just pick your favorite.
Probably Totodile.
Fair play.
Totodile.
I would have gone for Cyndaquil. I'm a Gen 2
Yeah?
man myself, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what it is. I think we always think of ourselves as Gen 1 people, but we're not. I think we're Gen 2
Gen
people.
2.
You know what I
Heavily
mean?
Gen 2.
I think like I definitely invested a lot more time into like Silver
sure.
than I did into Red.
I had a friend of mine pointed out to me. I had quite a few of the different generations. So for Generation 1, I had blue and yellow.
Yeah,
and you know
okay.
the way the typical saying is red and blue. So
Yeah.
I was category 2. So for the next generation, I got gold and crystal. So I was gold and silver. So I was like category
Yeah, okay,
1.
I see what you mean. Oh, yeah.
And I kept alternating, and this really
interesting. Okay,
bothered
yeah,
my
yeah.
friend. So red and blue, gold and silver, whatever the next generation was.
It was I guess it would have been
Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kept
You would have gone for
alternating.
Sapphire
Yeah,
and
I did.
Emerald then, I guess.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
so
yeah, my-
that bothered a friend of mine.
My favorite Pokemon game is still Heart Gold.
Yeah?
I genuinely think
I didn't get any of the kind of updated ones, the leaf green. Or,
I'd recommend Heart Gold because it's just silver and it has like the thing I realized playing it the second time around is like because there's 2 areas and because of like when they built it they did something there's just so much stuff.
yeah.
Like, do you remember there's that cave where there's on Fridays there's a Lapras?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's brilliant.
That's so fucking cool. Like,
it was so much more dynamic. Like even in the new ones, they don't go back to the previous
Yeah.
worlds.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas our generation,
and they don't use the days of the week necessarily as much. They do
Yeah.
use they did use in black and white they did seasons, but those were just kind of weird because they were really hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, it's autumn now, and you look outside and it's like summer, and you're like, okay, boss,
All right.
whatever you say. Because obviously, like they can't match up because it would take too long.
Yeah.
So it has its own cycle, but like I just didn't know the cycle at all. I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
So it did like because of that, like you know, because of when Silver worked, Silver was like when it's day outside, it's day in the game. When it's night outside, it's night in the game. When it's Friday. You're like, I understand because that's
this
my
makes
world.
sense. Yeah.
Whereas when you say every 2 weeks the season will change, or like whatever, you're like, I don't. Like that has no meaning to me, you know, because
Yeah.
like that doesn't work in real life because the seasons last so much longer. So like, anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm kind of rambling. My point is, Heart Gold is great because there's loads of stuff because it's second generation and also because your Pokemon can follow you.
Yeah.
and you can turn around and talk
I've
to them.
heard that.
And it's the best thing because when I
You did
like
that in yellow.
yeah, you could, but it was
probably
only with Pikachu. Whereas in this, it's with every Pokemon, which is awesome. But like, you know, I guess the thing is for me because like when I play Pokemon, I don't want to have like the team of the team that's the best in like the the Pokemon meta or whatever. Or like I don't even necessarily want to catch every Pokemon. I just want to have an adventure with a bunch of friends that are just magical animals.
Yeah, and if I come across one that is super cool, I'm
absolutely,
I
yeah. that's all it is. It's just
Second generation, I chased the legendary
dogs.
all over the world, and I only caught Suicune.
I love those dogs. They're just
they're
such
so
a pain in
cool.
the ass.
Suicune was my crowning achievement.
Crowning achievement.
My Browning achievement.
Browning achievement.
But yeah, I was
Browning achievement. Let's keep going. Sorry.
frowning achievement. But yeah, And then that ran out of internal battery, and I lost all of that, which was sad.
In did you? I don't know if you know this. I only found out about this because of I was talking about it recently with Owen and Robert. Apparently in Ruby and Sapphire, there was an issue where if the time of the game went over 999 hours, basically the internal clock would break, and berries would no longer grow.
Oh,
so you just run out of berries after that point.
Y2K.
I thought that was really, and it was really funny because like Robert was saying, like, I was just like, am I a really bad gardener? Why aren't the berries growing? And I just thought that was like the saddest thing. The idea of like, you just don't know what's going on. You're like, grow.
Yeah. When I had the berries, some berries were extinct in my game because I didn't know that you could regrow them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I tried cultivating some of them, and I was like, no, I've ruined it. I've made some of them go extinct. I'm a terrible person.
I've single-handedly extinguished several species of berries.
But yeah. So that whole thing has led us to the fact that the first generation has been re-released.
Yes.
Or is soon to be re-released. Has it been soon?
It's soon. I don't think it's out yet. For the Virtual Console on the DS.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's also on the Wii U. They could hypothetically do it, but as far as I know, for the moment, the announcement is on the DS only.
DS. That would be super cool. It might even convince me to get a DS. So I have this and Smash Bros. And so many things that are making me want to get it.
All the Pokemon games that you could get.
Yeah.
Like I still haven't played X and Y personally.
No? I played a little bit of them, but I got very bored of it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. It was very pretty, but it wasn't as engaging. And it was a little bit too hand-holdy, I think. For the first two cities, and I just got tired of it.
Fair enough.
So I had to borrow a 3DS from a friend of mine, and I was like, I didn't get very far. She collects shinies, so she was in the shiny group where they can like trade shinies for shinies and stuff.
Yeah.
And she gave me a shiny little. What are the little dinosaurs called? There was a specific one that was like a little T-Rex. And I got a red one of those, and it was very cool.
I really like that Pokemon because it's T-Rex.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I was very happy with them. And that was my experience with X and Y.
Fair enough.
But the point that I was going to make a little while ago, the Pokemon Go. Have you heard of that?
Oh, yes.
It's going to be
very exciting.
Cool.
It's very exciting.
Oh, I cannot wait. I hope it's what we all think it is, and that it's just going to be so good.
I think that if it's done right, it would be like incredible.
The best thing ever.
Like and I think the real thing that strikes me is that like Nintendo have the money and I think the manpower to make it really good.
For sure. And they could even get a lot of volunteers just kind of.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. It's interesting. I like just thinking about it because obviously like one of the difficulties, and I don't actually know where the difficulty will lie. Like whether they should start with a small group of Pokemon and build outwards, or whether the Pokemon are relatively easy to like build and it's actually sort of the system. But it is really interesting, and it's actually interesting as well to see Nintendo going into mobile development because that was something that they were very disinterested in it for a long time. And it's interesting that they would go into it now with such a massive project, basically. You know?
Yeah. One of my kind of gripes with it was, I was wondering how they were going to do the leveling thing. Like, are you going to have to battle Pokemon? Or what I was thinking would be a good idea would be, if you catch a Pokemon a second time, that's how it levels up. And then you just have still the one Pokemon that's slightly higher level.
I see what you mean.
So you're kind of incentivized to continue catching Pokemon to level them up. And people who are really dedicated to it could level up their favorite Pokemon. And it would be an interesting way to go about that. But then battling would also be kind of fun.
Yeah.
The VR battling thing I don't think that's going to work particularly well. Because they're probably going to need specifically built arenas for it. Like, they'll have like VR mapped places around the town. And it could be kind of cool.
It'd be great in Japan, probably. Where they have that infinite influence thing.
Mm-hmm.
So much power.
So stuff to look forward to.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the Virtual Console release, I thought that was really interesting. I'm really curious about, and this is sort of a weird thing to be curious about, but I'm really curious about how they're going to price it actually, because I suppose the way I'm thinking about it is, it would be relatively like so obviously like they're selling it on their platform. They can sell it however they like.
They're selling out.
No, nothing like
Yeah, I
that.
know
But I
what you
mean,
mean.
like, you know, like I guess what I'm saying is like, you know, how valuable is, I wonder, will they have a dissonant idea of how valuable the game is versus how valuable it actually is?
Oh.
So for example, if you told me that the Pokemon games are, say, a tenner on the Virtual Console, to be honest, I probably wouldn't bother buying them.
Oh, really? 10 is too much?
It's not that a tenner is too much, but so the thing about Pokemon is that Pokemon, like the newer Pokemon games, are like probably like better games. Like particularly, actually, when I played Black and White, I was really impressed.
Yeah, Black and White
Like-
was my latest favorite.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
Because
play
like
the previous generation because it bored me.
that's fair. But like, you know, because they've spent, I don't know, fucking like 15 years or something making Pokemon at this stage.
Yep.
Like they've spent so long making these games, it's only natural they'd get better at making them. So when you play Black or White and you think about it in comparison to say like Red and Blue, like it's a better designed game. Like there's a lot more opportunity. Early on, you're given a lot more tools so that you don't have to get stuck at any early gyms. Grinding is much faster and much easier. There's always Pokemon of an appropriate level nearby, and there's almost always a Pokemon nearby who is useful against the gym leader. And while that's kind of a bit maybe handholdy, it's also really practical from the
Yeah.
point of view of like, I haven't got anyone on my team that can deal with this, and my alternative is to either get something here and level it a little bit, or go back very far and get something that'll need to level a lot. And like that's like from the point of view of like, you know, catching Pokemon, beating people, catching Pokemon, traveling, beating people, like, you know, because that's kind of the central loop of the Pokemon game. From the point of view of like making that as fun and stress free as possible. Like Black is a better game than like Red. I mean, you take, you know, Red or Blue for example. It's like you start with Charmander, you better catch a Mankey, you're fucked, buddy.
Yeah.
Like that's, you know, that's how it works. Whereas in Black and White, you can start however you like, because I mean, yeah, they give you the monkey that just beats the gym for you, which is a bit shit, to be honest. I mean, it feels a bit like the really like the laziest option, where they just go, instead of going, well, maybe you should think about this. They just go, here's literally exactly what you need to beat the gym, so you don't even have to think. Like, I thought that was too much, but I sort of appreciate the sentiment of being like, here is a tool so that you don't like suffer, you know, too much as a result of what you picked initially or whatever. And it is great for like, you also have to remember it is a game for kids.
Yeah.
So like if someone's like, I've never
It's way too handholdy. This is for kids who are like 4 and 5.
Also, what's really weird when you think about Pokemon, like we've been playing Pokemon for so long, we have this weird like intrinsic knowledge.
Yeah.
So if I say like water types are good against fire types, you're like, obviously.
Yeah.
Like you don't even think about it.
Makes sense.
But like when someone who's never played Pokemon before, maybe you've never played a game before,
Yeah.
and they're playing Pokemon, they're like, what the actual fuck is going on? You know?
And with like fire and water makes kind of sense.
Yeah,
but when
yeah.
it's like dragons
fighting
and
and,
like,
fighting and
rock.
grass, and you're like, no, you know, I'm gonna go.
I'm
on.
outie.
You don't need me here. Like, so like
I've seen enough.
So like yeah, I guess what I really feel is that like, you know, there's the only, I guess to some extent the only real audience for like Red, Blue, and Yellow is the nostalgia crowd.
Yeah.
Who want a game they've played and want it again. But if it's too expensive, then they might not bother buying it. Like if you told me, oh, you can get it for £3, I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I guess what I feel is that because first of all, it's an older game and there's better counterparts, and second of all, because at the moment it's actually so easy to emulate through other means.
Yeah.
Like they should really focus on it, and maybe they've done the modeling because they're a big company and they know that this is wrong. But from my point of view, like if they, you know, if you sell it for say less than a lunch, then people will just buy it thoughtlessly.
Yeah.
Like if it's £3 or if it's £4, people would be like, yeah, whatever, because like that's not money to a lot of people. Like that's just like that's not even an amount of money.
Chop change.
Like exactly. So like whereas as soon as it hits like double digits, like 10, that's like you
10
could
is the upper limit for me. But like I
that's what I
would
mean.
buy it for 10 probably.
I might, but I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I'd probably rather put that €10 towards like, you know, getting X and Y or getting whatever the next Pokemon game's going to be.
Okay.
Because like I've played Red and Blue. I know they're like I can I've got the
Right.
I've got the Game Boy Advance remake somewhere in the house if I really want to.
My wavelength just got onto yours. Gotcha. I understand completely now.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I was what was it that changed?
I don't know. It was some kind of dissonance.
Oh, fair
and then
enough.
you were like,
But yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, okay, but like and yeah, it's like it's not that I don't like the games,
Yeah.
but like I guess the thing is to me like
Since we have
second
played
gen-
them, and it is
second
entirely
generation
nostalgic.
is like my Pokemon lover
Yeah.
or my Pokemon childhood sweetheart or however you want to describe
Mm-hmm.
it. Like red and blue are fine, but like I gave so much of my time to I think I had silver.
Mm-hmm.
I gave so much of my time to silver, and like it's insane. It's like it's just mad, and like the amount of time I've given to gold, and so like heart gold, like between the two of them, it's probably like over a month or something.
Oh
Like,
wow,
like,
cool.
it's
Well,
like-
it is a handheld thing, so
yeah, exactly. You
that's-
just take it everywhere you go. You play it when
Yeah.
you're bored. You play it when you've got nothing else to do. You play it when you want something in particular.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that's sort of like the real. To some extent, the strength of Pokemon is that it's because it's always been handheld and because it's sort of. There's so many things you can like always do. Like you can
Yeah.
be, if you haven't beaten all the gyms, you can be pushing for that. If you have, you can try and beat the Elite Four. If you
Elite
have
Four.
done that, you can just go after your favorite Pokemon or raise Pokemon to level 100. I was never really that interested in that. I preferred catching like lots of Pokemon and then building specific Pokemon.
Yeah. What I'd always do was built up my starting 6
Yeah.
and then just got them essentially just able to annihilate the Elite Four, like each person as a starter,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then just plow through the whole Elite Four,
Yeah.
and then I set them aside, and then I just start again with another 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
I mean I'd
interesting.
pick and choose because I tended to catch a lot of stuff on the
Yeah,
way through,
yeah.
but yeah, it was kind of fun, especially in the second gen because you had all of the 300 or so Pokemon.
Yes.
Whereas
I think
nowadays it's very-
I think and maybe I'm wrong, but I've always felt that I think second gen has the best like starting versatility.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, like I think it's really like for like just to pick an example, like if you look at second generation, the first gym is the first gym, not the first gym, but the first like there's a town you walk into, and you go past Mr. Pokemon's house, and then there's the cave that you don't need to go into,
Yeah.
and then there's the town there, and that's I think the first town you go to, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And is there a gym there? I can't quite remember.
I can't remember perfectly.
I think there is, but I can't remember. It's Faulkner. That's it.
Ah.
It's the Bellspar Tower and the Faulkner gym. But what's really cool is like you can go into that cave and you can catch like Geodudes and Zubats, and it's like I think the only example of a cave before the first gym, so you can actually have like a really interesting team before you even fight him.
Yeah.
Like you could be like, no, you know what? I don't want to use like Pidgey or whatever. Like I'm gonna go like my starter and like Zubat.
Yeah. I guess.
And like I just think that's and like you can catch Zubats everywhere, fuck's sake. But like I think it's the only game where you can get a Zubat before you go up against the gyms. And like for example, you get a Zubat after you beat Brock if you want one because there's the big cave you go through Mount Moon.
And then you have a flying type against Misty.
Yep. And then there's I don't even remember anything about. Oh, there's the cave in third gen, but there's no Zubats in there. I don't think. Oh no, there is, but that's the fighting gym on the island. And I think that's the second or third gym. But yeah, so like there's although third generation had just so much fucking water. Jesus Christ. like that was the thing. That was the thing they went for in that generation. Like they had like dive and waterfall and all
Oh,
that.
yeah, I remember.
And like I actually quite liked dive. I thought it was quite
it was
nice.
fun.
But I was just like, it was like you've got like 3 water HMs. You're like, Jesus, how am I
Yeah,
supposed
surf
to?
dive.
Who's supposed to?
Waterfall.
Yeah. And it's just
Waterfall was a handy move.
yeah. No, yeah, waterfall was just surf but physical damage.
Yeah.
So like waterfall and surf were both pretty good on the right Pokemon, but then dive was like crap, if I recall correctly. Had the same problem as fly that it takes too long.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't want you to spend a turn doing nothing. Beat him up. Beat him up. Buffs. No, beat him up. It actually was so funny. It wasn't until I played Black and White like that late that I was like, maybe these buff moves are okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I only started considering them around about then as well.
Yeah.
But then I was like, nah, fuck it.
Like what I did was I realized like, oh, I get it. The idea is that each of your moves does something different. Not that you just have 4 moves that are attack, 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 and attack. No, I was like
Flamethrower, flame wheel, fire spin, and
flame blast.
flame blast. Yeah.
So many meaningful options, but like yeah, exactly. Like I was like, oh, I get it. So I take like, I take the damaging move for like normal matchups. I take like the buff for like easy matchups so that I can beat something. I take like the status move for fighting things, and then I take like the weird move like Shadow Orb or Metal Claw for like when I kind of need to deal with something that I'm not quite sure how to deal with. And I'm like, oh right, this is how you're supposed to play the game. I just thought that was so funny.
I thought that ideally I'd have someone, or at least one Pokemon with Swift at all times.
Really?
Yeah, because it never misses.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Like, even if they've done their dive thing or their fly thing, you can just go, Swift, and you get them. Yeah, or dig even.
Ninja Stars.
Yeah.
Why was it Ninja Stars?
Goodness knows.
Why is it called Swift? It's not even fast. It's just stars.
Yeah. It's one of those moves, all right.
It's just strange. It's so strange. Remember Curse? Like that's what I mean. Like stuff like that's why you need hand holding, because it moves like Curse. And like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
What's it doing?
It did so much damage though. Curse.
Yeah, but it only did it when it was ghost types, right? And then if it wasn't a ghost type, you got a different move instead. It's like, why? Why do you get 2 different moves? Why is one move 2 moves? But yeah, and like, so like, yeah, I think it is probably true that the newer games are more handholdy, but that's probably for the best. I do think they maybe need to work on like making them more optional.
Yeah,
like
probably.
I think the problem is that if you make a tutorial that's optional, then you're going to have people who don't know how to do things skip the tutorial because, like, let's say you've played other games and you've never played Pokemon before and you're going to play Pokemon. Like, actually, I have a friend who plays loads of games who'd never played Pokemon, and for his birthday, I gave him a Pokemon Yellow and a Game Boy, just so that he'd try them.
Cool.
I don't know if he ever did in the end, but whatever. And like, the idea that you play games but you've never played Pokemon, it's like, if I give you a tutorial and I say, do you want to learn how to blah, 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 you're going to go, no, because tutorials are boring. Yeah. And you know that from playing other games. So I guess the point is that if they make them mandatory,
integrated,
you have to do them. You have to know the basics before you can be let out. But the problem is that if you do know the basics and you know more than the basics, you're just like, this is so slow. Why is this so slow?
Yeah, there has to be a fine balance between hand holding and letting you do what you want.
Yeah, I think Black did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember one of the first things they did, and man, actually the graphics in that game were gorgeous. It was
I
really
was
nice
very
game.
happy with that. Yeah.
But like there was this really cool thing they did where they sort of like they did a bunch of cool things actually. The first thing they did was when you got your Pokemon, they arrived in like a little present box. And you opened them in your room, and your friends were in your room with you, and you all picked Pokemon. And then your friend went, "Let's have a battle," and you were like, "Okay." Like you actually couldn't choose, but you fought him. And then it sort of, you do the battle, and it shows the room, but it's a mess. If you've had a Pokemon battle, and your mum comes upstairs, she's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I thought that was so clever that they were like, they just like explained like these actually do make a mess, even if we don't always show it. And then they did this really fun thing where they sort of did the blah 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 tutorial. But then what they did was like quite early, like when you first leave the town, your friends say, "Let's have a competition in this route here. Let's see who catches the most Pokemon."
Yeah.
And so you kind of learned how to catch Pokemon, but no one was like, "You have to pay attention. This is how you do it."
Yeah.
They just went like, "This is how you do it. Go and catch them." And and by making a thing where your friends say, "Oh, we're in a contest," like you feel a little bit compelled to beat them. So you're trying to catch Pokemon, even if you're not always interested in it. I mean, I just caught the dog and the bird because there was a dog and a bird.
Puccina and Sparrow thingy.
Yeah. But yeah, like so. I mean, like yeah, I think they do need to work on that. But like, I mean, tutorials have been plaguing like all game designers forever. The more complex a game becomes, the more you need to explain things, and the more you need to explain things, the more you need tutorials.
Yep. Good old games, eh?
Yeah.
Well,
video games are great.
I'd agree. We'll probably.
I think we should
wrap it up here.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this Sans DC Coffee and Chats.
Yeah. Not too much though, because DC will feel bad.
That's a good point. Yeah, you should temper your enjoyment.
Yeah. Don't enjoy yourself too much.
I've been Daniel.
I've been Tim.
Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, you can like it. If you think other people would enjoy it as well, you can send it on to them, but you don't have to because you're a free person.
Because whatever, bro.
Look, and if you would like to hear more podcasts and you use your YouTube for things like that, you can subscribe. And hopefully at some stage we'll have other things other than podcasts. So,
yeah, could well do. Could be an interest. The future is bright.
It's bright. I'm actually writing my Westerados review.
Oh, sweet.
But I'm so bad at writing. Turns out,
really?
If you spend all your time writing computer code and not writing real person words, you're not good at writing. Like I'm quite good at I can talk about it, but I'd like to write it down and then talk about it, and it's very hard. Anyway, I'll stop. I apologize very much.
Thank you very much for tuning in again.
Thank you very
Couple
much.
Weeks late.
Let's not talk about it. Don't mention the war.
Alrighty.
And this podcast is dedicated to our
two lost
but not forgotten podcasts. So have a good day.
Yeah, I hope you do.